AstroBot has saved video gaming. Okay, that's the clickbait first 5 seconds out of the way, and obviously that's a massive exaggeration. But I recently picked this up on the same day as Baldur's Gate 3, thanks to a decent sale on a new physical copy. And no, this is not the video to go into that whole thing. Point is, that's why I'm suddenly talking about a 2-year-old game which has reminded me what video games are. Let me explain. I had previously played the PSVR game. It was excellent, and Sony not including VR support in this one when it would have been relatively speaking incredibly easy is a crime. AstroBot Rescue Mission is one of the single best showcases of the PSVR and VR in general, a beautifully constructed platformer that puts you in the world. There are occasions where you don't just control Astro, but have to use your own physical form to move the level around him. Rescuing his crew is, like many games of this type, semi-optional. You get through the levels without doing so, but then hit gates which require a certain number. Sadly, like all the PS4 Astro games, it's not fully PS5 compatible. His original appearance is in Playroom, which doesn't run at all, and both the Playroom VR upgrade and this require the older PSVR headset and a DualShock 4 specifically. It would have been a huge technical challenge to overcome this for reasons not vital for a sub 10 minute video, but it's still a shame that Rescue Mission especially is effectively trapped in a previous generation. AstroBot was next used and almost typecast as a hardware demonstration, but if you own a PS5 you know this, it comes with the machine. Astro's Playroom is on every PS5 and makes considerable use of the fancy features of both the machine and its controller. The game is a love letter to the history of PlayStation, littered with references to previous games, and the end of all 4 main worlds is inspired by a previous console's UX and rewards you with a collectible of the machine. Other controllers and parts are littered around the map. I finished and loved this one as well, and yet when a full-length game, simply called AstroBot, was announced for a 2024 release, I overlooked it. Granted, there was nearly half a decade's space since the previous game by that point, and I think we'd all agree it was an eventful one. The difficulty of hooking up the PSVR and dealing with its aged tracking system meant I hadn't thought to replay Rescue Mission either. Playroom was right out for similar reasons, of course. And so seeing Sony pitch AstroBot, a throwaway platformer in my eyes, as a £60 game just didn't feel like value. And with it not being a showcase for a new piece of hardware, I didn't see the draw. I'll buy it when it's inevitably £20 after a year, I thought. Yeah, I'm living in the past. Sony doesn't do that anymore. As it approaches its 2nd anniversary, AstroBot is still the full £60 digitally. It's never been below £42. Even a second-hand physical copy from CEX is still £40, although that's nothing to what they will charge you for one of the special edition controllers. So I slept on AstroBot. It's not like there were a shortage of other games after all. I completed over 20 of them last year, for example, from indie adventures like Quantum Witch to commercial darlings like Power Wash Simulator, to the epics like Clair Obscur, Dragon Age and Avowed, the latter 2 of which I still struggle to tell apart half the time. It won't escape notice a lot of these are things that were on the PS Pluses and Xbox Games Passes of this world. And while Microsoft at the time was shoving every new game they made in your face alongside several they didn't, Sony have always been more measured, and so AstroBot has not been given away as a subscription bauble, at least as of August 2026. Watch it appear in September now I've said that. Point is, I don't mind losing myself in a slightly generic AAA open world game that's 50 to 100 hours long. This year has seen Outer Worlds 2, for instance, another Game Pass game which plenty of people have opinions on. Most of them aren't wrong, but I had a perfectly lovely time with it in the main. Same goes for 007 First Light, which I'd have made a video on if I'd had time. It's not Hitman, but no one other than the Hitman team could have made this game, and that brand of stealth with the shooting and story turned up a little more than in those games proved a surprisingly good fit for Bond, fitted alongside a story that's better than multiple actual Bond movies from my lifetime. Not like the games of 1993 though, are they? But then kind of the final straw. I finally bought Baldur's Gate 3. This is nothing against Baldur's Gate 3 as such, but it's unfriendly, isn't it? It's a giant, deep game with a million interlocking subsystems that assumes you know D&D backwards, otherwise you will get your ass kicked even on easy. It's also opaque. It tells you virtually nothing about where to go and what to do, and it's very willing to punish you if you do it wrong. For instance, I happened to take an incorrect path and not realise, which meant I hit the first dungeon in the game with only 2 members in my party, which made it a horrible grind. It also meant I had to cheese one boss by pushing them off a bridge, and any prospect of taking a remotely friendly way out went. It's taken me several conversations with friends of the channel far smarter than I to even get into the game's Underdark area, where hidden enemies immediately knocked my entire party on their arse. Essentially, you either need to know, Google, or spend countless hours trying stuff. And 30 years ago that would be my summer. I'll see you at Christmas. But these days I just don't have that kind of patience. BG3 isn't bad, I suspect it's just not for me. I'll come back with a cheater's guide sometime. But that last frustration with the Underdark caused me to actually look at the physical copy of AstroBot I'd just paid under £30 for, and so I tried it while still annoyed at BG3. And I was unannoyed in about 10 seconds. The first reason is obvious, it's a PS5 shaped spaceship. Although I'm not sure this is the regulation way to drive it, or a safe carrying capacity. Somehow, even though we're doing a space thing in space and then crash into a desert, it's still blue skies in gaming. It feels like a video game. And then even mid-intro it realises you've been sat there long enough and becomes one. You embody the controller and use it to rescue Astro. But even if you do leave it idling, there's personality. Astro will pull out his PSP if left to sit, and that's not even his only animation. Everything is interactive and everything has a reason to interact, even if it's just to make coins appear, and they will be used for something. Astro's little mini spaceship is a dual sense. In everything there's a sense of joy. The actual game is the same. You start levels by flying in, over which you have a measure of control, in the first one accompanied by surprisingly energetic flamingos. The levels are, mostly, fairly linear, but everywhere there is something. Firstly, and most importantly, you need to rescue your robot pals. This isn't just for score min-maxing either. You need a certain number, but crucially not all of them, to get access to some later levels. But they will also be useful back at the crash site. Aside from that, there are mysterious puzzle pieces, and even above that there's coin chests everywhere you can reach, some of which are clues to other collectibles. Plus there's bits where someone clearly just saw an opportunity for a laugh by throwing in extra touches like the interactive footballs early on. The robots aren't generic either. They have a few styles, but there's also hero ones based unsubtly on the history of PlayStation. If you can encounter the spinning marsupial and get the Naughty Dog reference, you are immediately on clear ground. Hidden on the first level is Clank from Ratchet Hand, for instance. Everywhere there are ideas that just feel like a Sega Mega Drive developer just got handed a couple of thousand teraflops. A water slide just appears, revealed behind a massive pile of balls. No, I'm not saying it. Which all, then, get pushed down the slide in front of you for no reason other than it's cool and the PS5 can do it. And even the pool you encounter at the bottom has several extra things to just do. They're not mandatory, they're just fun. Just when you're thinking AstroBot's abilities might get a little samey, it introduces the add-ons some characters give you. These will only last for the level you're in, so you never have to consider which of 8,000 abilities is the right one for the problem in front of you. It starts with certain sections of the Sonic fanbase being incredibly excited by the one that lets AstroBot inflate to reach otherwise inaccessible areas. 10 minutes will immediately pass as you experiment with what it can do, which is frequently rewarding. Even within the first world you will get long-range punches, hands for climbing walls and water cannons, all of which tightly tailored to the world they're in to a degree a massively expansive RPG simply couldn't. If it ends here, this would be a 16-bit game made 21st century. But AstroBot's atmosphere is massively enhanced by the way your robots build up the crash site itself as the game progresses. The main feature is of course the PS5 ship, which needs components slotted back into it, but this is where those mysterious collectibles start to be used. Notably, the first jigsaw being complete unlocks the gacha machine containing over 150 tiny dioramas of Bot and Sony related items. These are paid for from the coins you found. As with almost everything about this game, they've taken the additional step. The character ones unlock accessories for those bots out on the main site, and they are once again interactable because everything is. Everything has been made with just that little bit more care than a normal game. And I think this is because this is not an 100-kilometre open world. It's not going to be 5,000 hours of content. It's a game made by people and of a scale where every inch is human crafted. I'm still fairly early, there's more to unlock. I'm guessing the garage is going to give me some suspiciously Sony-derived vehicles to drive around the map, probably involving appearances from the likes of Gran Turismo and Uncharted. I'd say Wipeout, but I think Sony forgot that existed half a decade ago. I'm looking forward to finding out either way. It's not perfect, of course. Like literally every game with bosses, the bosses make it worse, generally relying on working out a very specific trick that has little to do with the rest of the game, then performing it perfectly slightly more times than is fun. This is why I never quite finished the VR one. I just got too annoyed with the final boss after 25 tries where I knew damn well what to do but could only do it 19 of the required 20 times in a row. I quit and then never bothered going back. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up in the same position here eventually. Which would be a shame, because this is a modern retro game. If I went back to the 90s and told you Sonic Team made this, you would not question it for a second. It's about playability. It's about fun. It's not about trudging brown paths looking for the right other brown path. It doesn't punish you for getting things wrong. You screw something up and you restart with no penalty inside a couple of seconds. It's joy in megabyte form. It's an excitable puppy made into a video game, something Baldur's Gate simply isn't, despite literally starring an excitable puppy. We need both kinds, of course, but we have enough Baldur's Gate. We could do with a few hundred more AstroBots. It feels like the game every Mega Drive and Amiga platform programmer would have wanted to make. And I would suggest it's one that every Mega Drive and Amiga platform enjoyer should play.